Don't do these things at a red light. Watch closely and tell me how many bad behaviors you can spot. I'll break down the answer at the end of the video. Lack of motorcycle gear is the most obvious one. I'm filming in a private driveway where there's no traffic, so I'm not going to be wearing any gear for this video. But if you're riding on the road, please wear the proper gear. Next, do not stop beyond the stop line. One of the biggest risks here is a car turning wide and not seeing you and sideswiping you or knocking you off your bike. So what I like to do is stop a foot or two behind the stop line like this. Gives you a little more space to survey things and get out of trouble if you see a car coming at you. Make sure not to take your feet off the pegs too early when coming to a stop. If you remember in the first clip, I let my feet dangle a little too early. You should be coming to a stop gradually and keeping your right foot on the right brake to the point where you slow down, and then just put your left foot down for balance. I always like to have control of my rear brake, so I keep the right foot up and the left foot down. It should look something like this. If your feet are dangling too early, you're not going to be able to use your rear brake during slow speed maneuvers, and you're going to depend on the front brake, which is more unstable at slow speeds. If you do have to use the front brake, don't stab at it like this, just slowly and gradually depress it. And an important thing to do is to keep your handlebars centered. If you happen to be moving and handlebars turned, and you press the front brake, your bike can start going down in this direction, and you don't want to drop your bike at an intersection. That's why at slow speeds, I prefer to exclusively use the rear brake when I'm going 5 miles an hour or slower. In general, don't keep both feet on the ground at the same time. Many motorcycle classes will teach you to only put the left foot down while at a stop. This is so you can keep your right foot on the right peg and control the rear brake, like we talked about. But there's a few exceptions where you may want to keep both feet down or the right foot down. If you're on uneven terrain and you're a little bit too short for your motorcycle, you may want to put both feet down for greater balance and greater support, and you can still keep the bike in first gear with your clutch pulled in. Another issue is if you're stopping on a hill, you don't want to put the downhill foot down, because if you're, again, a little bit too short for your motorcycle and you put your foot down, you may not be able to make contact with the ground, and then your bike will topple over in the downhill direction. So if you're stopping somewhere with a slant, you're going to want to keep your uphill foot down on the ground. Another thing motorcycle training courses will recommend is keeping your bike in gear at a stoplight, meaning don't put the bike in neutral. The reason for this is if there's an emergency or a car approaching quickly from behind you, you're going to be able to just let out the clutch, give it a little gas, and get out. If your bike is in neutral and your hands are off the handlebars, you may not be able to react quickly enough to avoid an accident. Now, if I'm at a very long light and I know the light's long and my hands are tired, I'll wait to see that the car behind me is completely stopped, and then I can put the bike in neutral and give my hands a little bit of a rest. Cell phone use. Now this one's pretty obvious. Don't use a cell phone when you're riding a motorcycle. One of the things I love the most about riding motorcycles is I can just put my cell phone away and unplug from the internet for however long I'm riding. So your text messages can wait, just keep your phone in your pocket and don't get distracted at a stoplight. Mirrors. Your motorcycle has mirrors for a reason. You need to be constantly scanning your mirrors when you're at a stoplight to make sure that the cars behind you are coming to a complete stop. Now this bike had terrible stock mirrors, so I replaced them with something more visible. A lot of people right now want those thin rhizoma mirrors with poor visibility, but I would recommend against that since you do want to be able to see your surroundings. Another trick I like to do is when a car is coming up behind me, I pump my brakes so that the red brake light flashes and they can see my motorcycle better. Another thing you may have seen me do in the first clip is remove my hands completely from the handlebars and just sit around, tap on the tank, play some bongos, but you should really be keeping your hands on the handlebars to maintain control of your motorcycle at all times. If you're scanning your mirrors and you see a car approaching too quickly, you want to be able to get moving very quickly. So if your hands are somewhere else, then you won't be able to activate the clutch and get moving. The last thing is stalling. And to me, that's not a huge deal because everyone is going to stall their motorcycle at some point. If you're a beginner rider, you're definitely going to stall your bike. If you're an experienced rider on a new motorcycle that you've never ridden, you may also stall your bike. The important thing is to learn your clutch and your friction zone so you can get going safely. I'm going to link another one of my videos above where I talk about how to get familiar with your clutch and how to get moving from a stop. If you do happen to stall at a red light, try not to get flustered, stay calm, just restart your motorcycle, put it in gear, and try again. The cars behind you, the worst they can do is honk, and they're gonna wait anyway. So don't worry, just get moving again. Now let's revisit that first video clip and count how many things I did wrong. If you missed any of them, hit that subscribe button.